All right, let's talk about that brilliant business idea you've got. Today, we're going to crack open a 7-day blueprint to actually validate it. This is a super clear plan to get you out of your head, stop the overthinking, and finally start building. So, yeah, let's dive right in. Sound familiar? You've got this brilliant idea, right? It feels like a total game changer, but it's just kind of stuck, maybe in a notebook or a file on your computer. It's just sitting there. You're deep in what they call analysis paralysis, thinking and rethinking every single tiny detail, and meanwhile, that awesome idea, it hasn't moved an inch.
Yeah, this is exactly what we can call the business idea trap. And look, it feels safe to just keep planning, right? To keep tweaking. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the more likely it is that that spark just fades away. It's this vicious cycle of doing nothing that chews up your time, and even worse, you miss out on some huge opportunities.
And here's the real kicker, the real danger of not getting your idea out there quickly. It isn't just about the time you lose. The biggest, scariest risk is pouring all of your heart, your energy, your passion, and your money into building something that absolutely nobody wants. Ouch. Okay, but don't worry. There is a way out of this trap. And this blueprint we're talking about today, it's your focused, fast-track solution. It's designed to give you a really clear workflow, so you can finally escape that cycle and get some real, concrete answers and get them fast. So we're going to walk through a 10-step process. Now, I know what you're thinking. 10 steps sounds like a lot. But hang on, it's broken down into 3 super simple phases. The whole point here is to give you confidence, a clear path to follow, and, this is the most important part, a mindset that's all about taking action, not chasing some impossible idea of perfection. All right, let's get into it. Phase 1 is all about building the foundation. I mean, before you can even think about testing an idea, you've got to get it out of your head and down on paper, right? This part is all about prep work. This phase has just 3 key steps. First, we're going to clarify exactly what you're trying to achieve. Then, we'll gather only the must-have info you need. And finally, we'll blast out a quick first draft just to get the ball rolling. So step 1 is all about one thing: focus. Your job is to write a single sentence that defines what success looks like. Who is this for, and how are you going to measure if it's working? Seriously, having this kind of clarity right from the get-go is the secret to moving fast and not getting pulled in a million different directions. Okay, now for step 3, the key word is speed. When we say draft fast, we mean it. The goal is not perfection, not even close. It's just about getting something, anything, usable, down on paper. Here's a pro tip. Set a timer for 15 minutes. It's a simple little trick, but it forces you to blow past that hurdle of starting and just get it done. All right, so you've got that rough draft. Now what? Well, now it's time for phase 2, the reality check. This is the moment of truth. This is where your idea finally leaves the cozy safety of your notebook and has to face the real world. And this phase has 4 key steps. We're going to validate your idea with some real-world tests, strengthen its core message, add some solid proof to build trust, and then we'll simplify and tighten everything up to make it super clear and powerful. Okay, step 4, validate with reality is, well, it's absolutely crucial. This is not about asking your mom or your best friend if they like your idea. No, this is about testing it against actual real-world constraints. Things like, what does real customer feedback say? Do the numbers actually make sense? Does this even work with the rules of the platform you want to use? You know, the hard stuff. And here's a perfect example from the source material. There's this founder, Zainab, and she doesn't guess about anything. She validates her new offer using real customer feedback. She does pricing checks, she looks at the actual platform requirements, and she even digs into bank data. She's basing her decisions on cold, hard facts, not just wishful thinking. Okay, next up, you've got to focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact. You know the 80-20 rule? Strengthen the core is all about that. It means improving the 20% of your idea that's going to drive 80% of your results. And what's that 20%? It's usually your main offer, the proof you've got, and the key numbers that back you up. Getting these things right is how you build real trust and credibility. And that brings us to the finish line, the final stage, phase 3, systemize and ship. This is where all that hard work pays off. You're going to turn your now validated idea into a repeatable process and, yes, finally, hit that go button. So these last 3 steps are really all about locking in your progress. You'll create a system so you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You'll run one final end-to-end quality check, And then you execute the plan. And super important, you schedule a time to come back and review how it all went. Now, systemizing sounds kind of corporate and complicated, but it doesn't have to be. It can be as simple as making a checklist for yourself or building a template from the work you've already done. Before you go live, you run one full test. Maybe you rehearse your pitch or you try out the checkout process yourself. Then you publish. And like I said, the crucial part is you put a date on the calendar to review the results and figure out what to improve next. I love this slide. It's basically a perfect cheat sheet, contrasting the common mistakes we all make with the pro mindset you want to have. So instead of getting stuck waiting for perfection, just remember this. Momentum always beats overthinking. And instead of just writing vague, fluffy statements, remember that real proof will always, always beat pretty polish. It's a fantastic summary of this whole philosophy.
Okay, so we've walked through the entire blueprint. The big question now is, what do you do with all this? Well, the source material lays out a super clear, immediate action plan to get you moving right now.
Here it is. This is your mission, your goal for today. Get that rough 15-minute version of your idea done, and just circle the parts that you know you need to find proof for. Then, your mission for this week is to take that draft and put it through 3 to 10 of those reality checks we talked about. And by the end of this month, you should have a system in place and be reviewing your results every single week. See? It's that actionable. And let's wrap up with this final thought. As you start moving forward, you need to ask yourself one critical question. What's my decision rule? What is the one single metric, the one outcome that's going to tell you whether you should double down on this idea, pivot to a new direction, or just stop and move on to the next thing? Seriously, defining that for yourself right now will give you so much clarity for the road ahead.